Hey guys, I want to do a little video today about churches and how churches can be, of great help to people that are really broken. I'm not saying all churches, there's some churches that are better than others, but I'm going to talk about a little church back in Haverhill that I used to belong to, Haverhill, Massachusetts. And I remember when I went into that church, I was very broken. And some of you guys have seen some of my videos where I talked about that before. I was like ripped apart. I had gone through a divorce. I had lost my father. I had some other issues going on that were really horrible. I was almost homeless at one point. Fortunately, I never became homeless, but I was like right on the brink. And I had joined this little church in Haverhill, Massachusetts. And it was a great little church because I walked in there and immediately felt comfortable. And I couldn't go to church on Sunday, so I always went to like the Wednesday night, what they call a Bible study. But it was more like a church service in a way, but it was also like a Bible study also. It was a little bit of both. Anyway, excuse my cough, guys. Anyway, I just remember being there and feeling like I had a family there. And excuse me again. And remembering that I always had somebody there, and I had a lot of friends there. Like I made a friend with this woman. Her name is Marilyn, and many others, including the pastor. But Marilyn became really close to me, and Marilyn kind of became like a friend that would look out for you, and she was almost like an angel to me, because she would call me like on Saturdays when I was at work, and we would she'd call me every once in a while, and we'd have like a long talk, and I could talk to her about anything, didn't matter what the subject was, and I could be totally open with her about it, and she really helped me a lot progress towards putting all my pieces back together, and sometimes you need people like that to kind of help you. And I remember that church like kind of holding me together, and not just in religious ways. I mean, yeah, I prayed, and I'm a Christian and everything, but I mean, the people in that church, I mean, there was a gentleman there named Wayne, and he had a class there for people with all kinds of issues, and that class covered all those issues. And I remember Wayne helping me a lot too in those issues with his class. And I took that class so long that I got to learn all the different ways that class could help me throughout my life, and I've taken a lot of those things and put those in my life, and my life has kind of been pieced together in a better way, and thank God for that. But I remember that little church. It was such a tiny little church, and the place helped me so much, and the pastor there was a great pastor, and I used to go to church there with my foster daughter. I've had her since she was like 3 years old. She wasn't like a legal foster daughter or anything, but she was like my foster daughter, and we both went there together a lot. And I would pick her up because she came from like a very broken family, and it was really funny because, and this is what's gonna make this story so great, was that when it came time for us both to leave the church, she had became a Christian there. She was baptized there, and then I was already baptized a long time before that. But anyway, she also picked up a lot there that kind of fixed her life and put her life into perspective, and helped her a lot. And Kiki had a lot of issues, and I'm just going to use her nickname. And she moved into a much better place afterwards because of that church, and I did too. But the greatest thing was when we had like tons of people in that church like praying for us and everything. And when when it came time for both of us to leave, because I left to go to the Philippines and she stayed behind, it was just amazing, because it's almost like before I left, I wanted to see her in a good place. I didn't want to see her stay behind or anything like that. I wanted to see her in a better place outside of that city that we lived in. We lived in Lawrence, Massachusetts, and she, thank God, her sister took her in and helped her, and it was like a miracle that she took her, because if she hadn't have taken her, she would have fell back into like a bad life there in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And I wanted to see her leave before I left, or I would have felt bad leaving her in a bad position, because of her family life was so terrible in Lawrence. And she was over 18, and she decided that she was going to get up and go with her sister. And that just kind of, like, she left like a week before I left, and thank God she did. And like, that church really, really boosted me, because we didn't know what was going to happen with her, and by some miracle she was just taken away from that, and she went to a much better place, way better. She's in a way better spot than she was before, and I'm in a much better spot today because of that church, and because of the people in that church, and this is my thank you to them, but it's also like a story that I just wanted to share with people out there, and just as like a short story about myself a little bit. Some of you guys might be bored with it or whatever, but sorry if I bored you, but it's just an interesting story, because sometimes we all need a place to go, and thank God now I have a new church over here, and I have new people in my life here, and I'm glad that I have another church that I can have, to like a church family, and that's what it is. And when you're kind of like a loner out there or whatever, you need to have like a family, whether it be your own family or a church family or whatever. And I'm lucky here because I have a family and a church family, and I love both of them, and I'm glad that I have that, and any of you guys out there that are Christians know what it's like to have a church family. It's great, especially a really good church family. But I just want to thank everybody back in Massachusetts for at my former church, and I just want to say that, thanks guys.